I'd like to call the meeting together starting at 6:04 p.m. and the first item is the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our next agenda item is correspondence, visitors, and public comments. And we have two people in the waiting room. Thank you, Derek. Katie and Sheree, just in case you didn't hear, we're at the point of the agenda where it's correspondence, visitors, and public comments. On to agenda review. Do you have anything?
No, but given the number of students that we have here, I'm wondering if we want to flip administrative reports. If you want, or, I don't know, we have people online too, if we had quick questions for the folks online. I just don't want to keep kids.
I prefer to hear from the students over the administrators.
Right, that was my thought.
And see where I'm sitting?
I agree, Dawn.
I don't blame you, Dawn.
So let's do that. Let's move the presentation to item 6 and administrative reports to item 7. Next is the approval of the minutes of September 24th, 2024. Anybody would like to make a motion to accept those?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Elaine. Do I have a second? Thank you, Rennick. Discussion or comments? Great. Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the September 24th minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
I'll abstain.
Abstained. So we are 8-0. No, 7-0. Sorry. Next up, we're going to do presentation and discussion items. So we're going to have the work-based learning presentation, please.
Thank you for having the work-based learning program here. My name is Richard Barlow. I'm the work-based learning program at the school. I've been doing this about 8 or 9 years. Started off as cooperative learning in the tech program. It's now available to all high school students. It's growing leaps and bounds. We have 37 students in this year. Every year, the quality of student gets better, and by quality, I mean the clarity of their goals and the placements lining up with very high-end professional goals. I have 4 students here today, absolutely cream of the crop, but they're not the only students I have. We've got students engaged in machine shops, we've got in real estate agencies, we've got students going to work in the weed fish hatchery as an intern later on. So we cover all segments of industry, and industry is pulling kids as we're pushing them. We've got partnerships emerging with the Franklin County Industrial Development Board. They're working very hard to get industry in to inform our students, and then to have industry create capacity for 17-year-old part-time students to enter these high-quality industries while they're still in high school, so they can get high school credit for it and start a meaningful career. We're also working with the after-school program, beyond the classroom. Very, very productive relationship, and we're all working together. So this is, I see nothing but growth in this area of education. and I see the word on the street, students are starting to talk about it amongst each other, and the demand is growing all the time. So without wasting any more time, I want to introduce the four. I'll introduce them, give a little background, but then I'll turn it over to them and let them share their story with you, and I encourage you all to ask questions. So Tegan Gagne, they're all seniors. Tegan Gagne is working at Husky Injection Molding. He was applied for and was accepted in a very competitive program, the Summer Machinist Institute. They take 12 students in the state. He was one of them. He worked this summer, part-time in the classroom, part-time on the floor, 40 hours a week. Now he's extended that into the school year, and he's getting high school credit. Caleb Ledoux came out of our ag mechanics program. We're reaching out to different industries in the area. Green Mountain Knitting just moved from Milton up here. They have a need for machinists, but they had a very specific need for somebody who could organize a supply room, learn the machines, and learn how to fix the machines. He was recommended by Mr. Capati, started at the beginning of the summer, and is working there for high school credit. And this is a growth industry over there. They're new, they're big, and they're growing. It's going to be a significant employer in the area. Shay Hodorkowski signed up for the program, is now a registered apprentice, electrician's apprentice in the state. He is working for Lakeside Electric in South Burlington, and he's going to be working every other day as an electrician, and 2 nights a week he's taking the Electrician 1 course through the Vermont State University. So when he gets out, he'll probably have estimated 1,000 hours of work, and he'll have his first of 4 college courses done. So he'll be essentially a year ahead of his contemporaries. And the very same thing with Sampson Lake. He's working for Corey Bertrand as just registered him as an apprentice, and he'll be in the same boat. He'll take those courses 2 nights a week. He'll earn his high school credit for it, and he'll be a year ahead of all of his contemporaries. I want to point out that the school has the administration and the leadership of the district, and our building has the foresight to budget for those classes. We have money through dual enrollment for credit-bearing classes through VTSU, but we don't have anything for these trades. The school has made that available, and that is a big selling point. When we bring a student, or when a student goes to an electrician and says, I can work for you half-time, I want to be a registered apprentice, and my school will foot the $1,000 bill for the course. That makes it a lot easier. It demonstrates to the employer that the school has skin in the game and really wants to make this happen. So without further ado, I gave them a little outline. I'd like for them to share a little background, why they chose this, what the differences they find in terms of what a day in work-based learning looks like versus what a day on the job looks like, and particularly attention to the urgency of their work and what it's like to work in a multi-generational team, so working with people that are older than them, their age, and something. So we didn't draw straws, but I'm going to have Tegan go ahead here.
So I'm Tegan Gagne. I am employed at Husky Injection Molding. I am currently a machine operator in the water jet area. So I pretty much run that floor with I shadow, but I also am training and I am learning the machine. And then towards the end of my shift, I head down towards assembly, and it's pretty much where we collect all the parts that are manufactured through the plant, and we assemble the hot runners which go out to customers. And I feel good about it because with this program, I have been able to have good hours into my work while also doing school, and it feels very easy to do both at the same time. I don't feel overwhelmed or stressed. And I feel that it's been a good opportunity for me because I feel like my heuristics, I just always wanted to get out early. I wanted work. And I just feel like I found a good work environment with good people, and I feel like it's a actual career I can go on. Thanks, Mr. Berman. That's all.
I'm Caleb Ledoux. I work at Green Mountain Knitting, now known as Calco, and they're a Canadian company. They have, I think, 2 buildings, 2 factories in Canada, 1 in Dominican Republic, and 1 in Swansea. And I do the maintenance position for them. I started with, like Mr. Rahman said, organizing a tool room for them in a few different rooms, and that was pretty fun. And then after that, I started doing a lot of shadowing for who was doing most of the maintenance at the time, even though he was an operator and he was trying to fit everything in and he couldn't, so they had to hire somebody to do maintenance. And that's what I spent most of my summer doing, was shadowing him. And then now I do a lot of the maintenance on machines. Like Mr. Brown said, our company is growing really, really fast, so we just got a whole bunch of new machines and we're sending a bunch of old ones out. So I've been dismantling and rebuilding machines pretty much every day, and they're usually different machines. Like this week and last week, we had this machine that takes thousands of needles, and we got it. It had to be clean, so we had to take all those needles out one by one, clean all the tracks they went in, and then put them all back in. And it seems like it's really difficult work that would kind of suck, but it was actually kind of fun, and I really enjoyed the learning process. And my favorite thing about this job would probably be that I literally do something different every single day. Like, I don't go in and do the same thing ever. And whenever I've been looking for a job, that's always the thing I'm looking for. I never want to be stuck doing the same thing every day. That's it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Shannon Wojciechowski. I work at Lakeside Electric. I'm a art kid. I like drama. I like art. I like doing stuff with my hands generally. And being an electrician, I've learned a lot of small things, but coming together, and when I start schooling, I think I'll have a nice head start into those careers. You kind of, being a kid, you know, I looked at college was scary. I looked at, I looked at other jobs. I couldn't find anything that really stuck. Nothing really felt like I could try it out and really go back and do something else, because there's a lot of opportunities at this age. And so, you know, I hear about work-based learning, and it's this opportunity to not only work with my dad, who's a master electrician, but also get into something that I work with my hands. I get to experience the actual job and not just have to do all this learning about it and then do the job. And I think that made it feel a lot more applicable. I felt like I could actually do a lot more with that and more interested in what I was doing. It definitely made it easier overall. I struggled a bit at the beginning trying to get used to the hours, and kind of there's a lot of information they're distilling into you. But as you kind of start to pay attention, as you're listening, you learn more and more of what makes sense, what you're hearing, and it adds up. It's genuinely helpful. And then eventually, I'm hoping I can take this and become a journeyman. Once I have my journeyman, now I have a full job. I have something to fall back on, and that's only 4 years of my life. That now I get all the rest of my life to explore and do all kinds of things I'd actually like to figure out what I want to do without being scared that I might not make it if we're going. So it's like a safety net for me.
My name is Samson Link, and I'm working for Bertrand's Electric. Started working there at the beginning of the school year. We started working on a commercial building over at the Hannaford's complex over in St. Albans. Ocean State Job Lot is what it's called. Started putting in all of the lights. It's a good experience. Really tough to start understanding how to wire the lights, but once you get the hang of it, it's a good step ahead that'll put you ahead of other people. The apprentice electrician starting school in November. This is a really good experience because I like to work with my hands, and in other places in school I haven't really had that opportunity besides with the agricultural standpoint, which it's mainly farming. Not quite like for me because I kill things a lot, but still with your hands. It's been a great experience so far. Great hours, come to school, get to learn things, get to go visit with my friends while I'm still here, and then really put in those hours and learn a lot of things. That's all I have.
So, I do want to point out that Sam Lake is minutes away from being an Eagle Scout, moments away from being, we're right there. But I did want to open the floor to the parents, if the parents would like to say anything. Since this is a partnership that we have with the parents.
I actually had asked if we were parents were going to be able to speak at this. So Samson has been interested in being an electrician for years and years and years and trying to figure out his path through. We attempted to do the tech program in St. Albans and were told he was guaranteed a spot by going to the open house and signing up, and then he got waitlisted. And they said, sorry, we've got nothing for you. So I happened to talk to Mr. Barwin at a soccer game, and we got to talking, and we were talking with his guidance counselor, and were able to come up with the plan for the senior year that he had something to look forward to versus this appointment of, well, now I've got to wait until after high school before I can even start working towards what I want. So this was like, I'm going to say a godsend for him. This was exactly what he needed when he needed it. He's been driven to be an electrician for many years, and this just kind of worked out exactly how he needed. And then as a parent, he comes home more excited this year than I've ever seen him. Like, he's always a happy kid. Everybody knows that he's happy and always smiling, but like even more so this year. And then I work down in Burlington, so with parents from lots of other schools, and talking about the experience he is getting here, they are going back to their schools being like, hey, why don't we have something like this? We want something like this. Like, this is helping the word spread, and there's definitely a want, at least from the parent perspective, from lots of different schools in the state to offer more of this to the students.
You don't want to see me try. So Shay, I think like he said, he's always been an experiential kind of learner, and I think a lot of teenagers probably really are. I know I still am, but this really is an opportunity for him to try something out that might have been, if he took it out as like, okay, I'm gonna graduate and then I'm doing this, where it feels like this huge commitment. This allows him to experience it. He's doing, I can tell he's really enjoying it. He's tired. He comes in tired and hungry and dirty, but he is genuinely engaged and really seems to be having, the kind of experiences that makes me proud to see him walk in the door and feel that sense of confidence and kind of self-actualization that he's bringing to us. So I think it's a fantastic program. Mr. Browning's been incredible helping us navigate, where the paperwork goes, who we got to talk to, and he's really been indispensable in that. I just hope these opportunities will keep evolving for new students because it really is a win-win. I know my husband's employer was like, oh, we've tried this before, it never really works out. There's so many things that have to happen. And I was like, well, this is an MBU program actually. And she was like, really? And I was like, yeah. And they're down in South Burlington. So next time people say the South Burlington has a better school program, I say, no, I don't think so.
Add to that just a little bit, also the scholastic piece of it. Actually, because of the engagement, I think, with the program and everything is kind of covered. It's actually the scholastic, the desire for, coming up and above where he was prior as well to kind of falling behind those and kind of progress with more attentiveness and is engaging from a culture scholastic piece as well. So it's not just on the right side, but actually it's also increasing his all of this.
So it comes home saying, oh, I got your homework.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, any questions, please feel free to ask any more questions.
Done.
I don't have a question as much as I am really impressed and appreciate parents coming with their students. I've been in education now for over 60 years, and I have found that parents, and I'm not starting in first grade either, but I find that parent involvement and support is a real key factor in the success of students in the school. And I worked with Mr. Bauer and Mr. Palmer on the ag program and a number of other people. And I know when you have an employee that's student, not only student interested, but student advocate, good things happen in school. And tonight just confirms that. But thank you to the parents taking the time out. That's really great. Good job, students. Keep it up.
I just want to say thanks for coming out and sharing that. There's not enough students these days that are just out there ready to go to work. Parents have support doing that. You will be the bedrock of things to come. People are out there waiting for things, you're already out there working. So keep it up. And my question is more for Mr. Barwick. So how many students do you have in the program?
37. It's 37 right now.
So is it growing, expanding?
Yeah, it's growing. I mean, we're up against, there's administrative functions that have to be done, and that's a block. But,
Such as?
I have to go to every single employer, and I have to sit down and develop a learning plan, and I have to confirm safety issues, workers' compensation, job description. I have to run the job description against hazardous occupational laws, because most of them are 17 years old, so there's some things they can't do. And it's just administrative that gets in the way. So, but the demand is there, and the capacity in the community, working with the Franklin County Industrial Development Board. Just to give you some anecdotal evidence, at the beginning of the year, the leadership in our school said, we're going to teach our teachers about the opportunities that are out in the community. We did a round robin to all 100 kids, all 100 teachers, walk them through the primary economic drivers here in Franklin County, from the industrial Ben & Jerry's, that area, all the way down here to Raise Two and Dime. And just from that one-day event, we've got 2 kids over at Raise Two and Dime. They said, we didn't know we could do this. Can we bring 17-year-olds on? We set up a training program, and they set up a specific shift for them and bring them in at a pre-career level. So they're not just sweeping floors or sorting bottles, they're actually learning that skill. So when they graduate, they can roll them into a full-time status. And I always, drive into these kids' minds. It's not just wage, it's benefits, it's paid time off, it's a retirement plan, and most of all, the opportunity for growth within that industry. There's a lot of that around here. We're just trying to build a bridge to it so they don't dump out of the education system and then wander until they find a good fit for themselves. And I think I just want to say Husky Injection Molding cracked the code on this about 5 years ago. They got a summer institute. They take kids that are in 11th grade in between their senior and junior year, and they train them, pay them, and then they have the capacity to keep them on a part-time status, doing exactly what Tegan's doing. So we're hoping that other companies in the area grab that model and replicate it, that module, and scale it into their industries so we can start having kids go into these jobs.
Well, I've been looking forward to the program really there. So what's the tie-in with the after school in terms of what's happening there? And, sort of
I'll let Beth speak to that, but so we want to get kids excited about machining and data technologies, the battery factory, and the airport over here, and agriculture in the 7th grade. We want to start it early, so Beth, I'll let you address that.
Sure.
It's a great plan.
Yeah, I was not, I feel like I'm just taking over here with you guys, but Richard and I have just started working together and it's really exciting. I think there's a lot of natural collaboration and sort of just flowing with what we're trying to do with the after school program, especially with the new state after school grant that you've heard 1,000 things about from me. One of the things that I think is especially exciting is we really are trying to plant the seed a little younger as well. We have some amazing rock star seniors here, and we really want to start creating career awareness at a younger age, so this becomes just a natural flow through in the school. And I think in the after school program, we can really start doing that, working even at the middle school level to start just with our informational career fairs and these internships that we're just getting off the ground in the summer. So I see a lot of potential. We're also meeting with Alyssa Urban. What is her official title? PLC. Just to figure out how we can put all of this together, because the three of us really have these similar agendas here to make sure that we're creating as many pathways as possible for our students. So I'm just super excited that we're collaborating, we're making this work, and one of the things that Richard said recently that really struck me was we're looking for career entry opportunities rather than, ground level.
I always say sorting bottles.
Yes,
I say
yeah.
kind of as a placeholder for the job that a lot of high school kids do, but it's not an entry, it's not a onboarding job, it's one of these really high quality companies that we have.
And to start that at a young age, it's super exciting. And yeah, I just see a ton of potential, and we're in the infancy of collaborating, but I think it's going to go places. So thanks for allowing me to speak here. I was here for my administrative report. So.
So then, to the students, last question. So what age did you decide that you were going to take this path?
I think it was probably around 13, right around 7th grade during COVID.
For me, I had a real idea, and then maybe last year sometime, we kind of heard about this program and looked into it.
Ever since I think 9th grade, I took an ag class, and the teacher, it was Mr. Wild, I think. He's gone now, but me and him were pretty close. Actually, I had 2 of his classes, his intro to mechanics and his intro to ag classes. And he had sat me down and he showed me how I could take these certain classes and it would lead me to getting into my mechanics 2 class. And then he showed me that if I got that, I would get a really good placement in work-based learning. So pretty much ever since 9th grade, I've been trying to work into getting into a good job in my senior year. And I'm really happy to have gotten that far and actually succeeded at it. But if I'm talking about career, like what I've been wanting to do, I really wanted to get into automotive mechanic. So with this career I'm at right now, or job I'm at right now, it might not be automotive, but it's a really good step into that, just because I'm doing a lot of hands-on work. It's a maintenance job, and if I were to switch to automotive, it's a lot of the things that they would be looking for in this job.
I've always been interested in mechanical things since I was younger. I've always built things with my father. We built go-karts, we built garages and shops and sheds, and I've always been into math and geometry, and I've just always been into just creating whatnot. And same, I took a intro to mechanics with Mr. Wild, and I also took mechanics 2 with Mr. Haiti. And then just last year I went to the Tech Center for Engineering, and that's where it really brought the idea to my mind to go to Husky, because my brother formerly worked there in Waterjet. He just barely left. He left me as he left high school, right as I got in high school. But I have a lot of friends and people I know in Husky, and in Tech Center we were able to use the CAD program, and we were able to create and design our own things. And I saw Husky and my brother work there, and he was telling me how good it was. And then we had Devin McGarry come around and do a slideshow of the work environment there, and the benefits seemed really good, and it just seemed like a good spot, especially as a 17-year-old to be working there. And my goal is to have my master's in engineering and bachelor's in business, and I feel Husky is a very good job opportunity, especially as a 17-year-old, for my future career, being an engineer.
Thank you. All I say is get some business cards. We need a lot of electricians.
Ladies. Peter?
I think this is really exciting. This is something since I've been on the board, we have pushed, and the administration has pushed to try to have a program like this, and seeing how excited the students are, you can tell how much they've learned just by listening here today. The parents are so glad you came. The one thing I'm hearing from all the students is they love to work with the hands, right? And sometimes that's not always the easiest when you're in the classroom setting to learn that way. So to hear that this program is helping them by getting them more excited to be in the classroom with that education as well as working with their hands and learning new things, it's really exciting. And to hear you say that word's getting around the school with more students. If we can build excitement about learning, no matter what it is, then it's a great thing. So really excited and really appreciate to hear all of you. And thank you.
What I would like to say to the students is juggling school and work, you're leaps and bounds above, so many of your classmates. So kudos to you guys for doing that. So the only quick question that I have for all of you is, on an average day, how many hours are you in school and how many hours are you at work?
I go into school for one period. So B days I go into Science 11. I'm there for an hour and a half from 8 to 9:30, and then on A days I go in for college writing for 9:30 to 10:50.
And then you go to work until?
I go into work until 4:35.
Nice.
I go into school for first and second period. 20 days, I think. I can't remember which days I have classes. I just go in and figure out what classes. On one of the days I have a study hall, and then I have like an English class or something. Yeah. And I go in for those, and the other day I have art and social studies or something. So
and then work.
Really easy classes that I do enjoy. Like my English class is Humanities in Action, so it's just, I don't know how to say that. It's like a self-learning class, so I get to choose the project I'm doing, and I do it basically all on my own. So it's something I'm passionate about. It's easy. So there's that, and then I get out. After that, I go straight to work. I stop at home, get lunch, go straight to work around 11, 11:30, and then I get out around 4. Some days 4:30.
I work only on A days. B days I have a normal day of school, English class, driver's ed, and drawing class, keep it fun. And I have economics leadership, that's my last class. personally, I think that was my favorite way to split it, just because having a day to do school and then having a day to do work separates them and allows me to have time to do work on both of them.
I come in for the first 2 periods, so I have 2 English classes, one on A and one on B day. And then I have an art class and a physical ed class. And after second block, I leave and get to work around 11 or 11:30 every day and work until 5. Great job.
So our guidelines are no less than 10 hours a week, Monday through Friday, no more than 30 hours a week. We will keep that carved out because they're still very connected to the high school. There's drama, sports, skip night, all those things that they should do. So the job will post that, and sometimes we can't because of the dollar.
Yeah.
So weekends are theirs if they want to work on a weekend. That's right, just work as long as it's it's that week.
Very good.
I just want to say thank you because I know that figuring out what you want to do when you're a senior looks like it is scary. You don't know if you want to go straight into college. College might not be for you, or you're going to go further your degree after because you figured out what you want to do, and that the world is really in need of machinists, mechanics, and electricians, and so forth. So. I get really excited when I hear about this program and that students have something that you're enjoying it and that really need your skills out there. So, and the balance of both your schoolwork and work life, really fun, right? Right? So I think it's really great to do this program and that you're happy with this.
If I could say one more thing. Thanks to Mr. Brown and Mr. DePady. I don't know if it was completely just them, but I think last year the college representative came in for UNOH, and I know normally when a college representative comes in, students are like, oh, whatever, I don't care, let's just listen to their spiel and then get it over with. Well, in our mechanics class, we listened to it and we all put in this, it was like an application, but it wasn't a college application, it was just like, they'll give us a call in a year and see if we're still interested. So a couple months ago, I got that call and I was still interested, so I put in an application and I actually got accepted into it for next year. And I'm really excited for that. And I also know that I'm not the only one. There's a few of my buddies who applied at the same time as me through the same representative that came into our mechanics class. And they also got accepted.
Nice. So it's giving you more opportunities. That's great. Anybody else?
It was very informative. Because my son wants to do the electrician program too at the tech center, so I'm glad there's other options. Just in case.
In the trades, it's kind of a depleted industry compared to what we need. So anything that helps promote, especially you guys who are interested in hands-on learning, typically we have problems with electrician, machinists, we need a lot of people. Unfortunately, we need to be looking and seeking other avenues and we don't promote this enough to really get the bodies in places. This gives everybody an opportunity to really start seeking those things out and really people who are really genuinely this physical type of language and great in this industry. Keep seeing things that happen. These elections from an outside perspective of where I am and watching. I've been in this industry for over 20 years. I've just watched people kind of dabble and get into it. trying to get everyone kind of getting older and not quite as many people growing in behind it, so if it's to help kind of promote that to the younger generations, we can do it. So we can kind of get that disruption to the parent, so more people can kind of in the direction, especially if they're here for it and are interested in it. If they see us to kind of help push them in that direction, that's amazing.
And we had 4 boys, and back when she's the baby of the family, so. Out of all the boys, none of them went into automotive. We were in the southern part of the state then, but that was the only option. And, you could do that through the tech program. But there really wasn't any opportunities like this. I know when I first spoke with Mr. Brown, he was telling me he even has a real estate program. I was like, that's incredible, So I think you'll find a lot of takers because you keep investing opportunity for kids.
Well, thank you, this is gonna be the best part of the night.
Yeah.
Okay, all set.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'm content. Meeting's done. That made me happy.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
I'm so happy right now.
You're
I
good.
just,
I got your
I'm
name
good.
already here.
Yeah. All right, remember that. So next we have the communication survey draft.
Do you wanna go back to?
Do you want to go back to
MDO?
discoveries or?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay, so, yes, the administrative reports, got MVO, Dan and Christie. Does anybody have any questions or comments for their reports?
Alright, a couple things. I like the Hall of Fame inductions. I wish I had seen those, but looks like there were some pretty positive inductions that we had. I did wanna ask, for the facilities update, so there's fencing now for the ground crews to help navigate the athletic field parking.
Yeah, so if you go out by the kickboard and go up by right along that road, that gravel road, now ballpark.
Drive.
Ballpark.
Right.
Yep. That there's fencing along there that has been put up to keep people from going onto the field hockey field.
Because I've actually heard some positive things that, there's been some things up and a few people have come up to me and said, oh, thank God that we're not parking on the grass as much anymore. So I figured I'd give some positive feedback.
Yep, no, great.
And then I did want to ask, I did want to highlight the Powder Puff game. Over 1,900 people came. I actually was going right by there and I saw the stadium was packed.
No, it's packed.
Absolutely packed.
I was there.
It truly was, and it was one of the great games that we've had. The final score was 30-26. We were on the losing end. We scored the same number of touchdowns. We just didn't convert on the 2-point conversions. But it was, everybody felt like it was a total win. Our kids were jumping up and down in the middle of the field afterwards, just felt great about it. We surpassed on our end our all-time high for fundraising. And of course, 1,900 people coming through the doorway is going to help with that as well. So it was packed, and BFA had kind of held off with the fireworks for halftime. So they had fireworks at halftime. It was truly and of course you see the picture, and it was just a gorgeous night. And it was all of it just kind of contributed, and it went really well.
The last thing I wanted to add was, I don't want to get into too much here. I'm sure this could be a topic for our conversation, but how challenging is that cyberbullying? Is it something that we do hear of? I'm sure it's a very complex issue, but the one thing that stuck out is that it's not occurring during the school day. there's no phones, right? But it's infiltrating the school these days.
It bleeds into from the evening typically. Yep. It's what we call keyboard courage. Kids have keyboard courage at night. You know, they're more liable to say something on a keyboard than they will if they say something to somebody else. And so they're willing to take risks and just kind of throw it out there and really kind of push that envelope online, thinking that, well, nothing will ever come of it. And so, you know, they'll threaten somebody, they'll bully them online, and then that gets reported, and then we have to look into it. And as long as there's a nexus to, you know, an impact on school.
And those all run through, a lot of these things run through
Steve Messier, and student management. Yep. And the admin team. Yep.
You had a pretty good report by him last year. I remember on a lot of this, and that would be something I'd like on the future agenda.
Yeah, I think it's from
Julie and I talked about it the other day of having Steve come in for the month of November.
Just to kind of, because it's, you know, it's one of those things that a lot of parents like to bring up and like to complain, but I think it's complex. There's limits to what teachers and administrators can do. So I think at least having an open discussion about it, just, you know, hearing kind of pros and cons of different approaches and stuff, just knowing it's something that we're actively addressing, we're aware of probably every day.
every school.
Yeah, in and out of school, on the bus. So yes, okay, great.
I want to thank Julie for sharing David Drexler's letter.
Well,
With,
Any other questions or comments on the admin reports?
Yes. All right. So Julie, I did want to ask you, just kind of explain. So the national rankings here. So is that part of it?
No, that's the state of Vermont compared to the rest of the country.
Got it. Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
So the first two pieces were trends that the interim secretary of education shared with, we had a regional meeting of superintendents and leaders. We had a team of 3 or 4 folks from our district that went. And they shared how Vermont fares, you know, that we have the 46 smallest schools in the country, and we spend the most on staffing in the country. Our math scores are about average, our reading scores are pretty good as a state. But, you know, she was just sharing some of that data. And she shared the statewide enrollment trends as well.
So we're first in teachers per 100 people and staff per 100 people.
Yes, in the country.
In the country.
Yes.
So we have the most
Adults in school.
Huh. I feel like that's something that should be talked about a lot more when people complain about class sizes.
It is. It's not even just so much, and Laura and I are about to spend 2 days doing more of this work. It's, our admin team has been we're examining schedules, but it's more than just how many kids are in a first grade classroom. It also then extends to how many students are taught by interventionists, how big are the group sizes, how many, we have a lot of adults that are there to solve the problems we have with kids, whether it's instructional, whether it's behavioral, and it's just sort of how Vermont has addressed the needs of kids is more through staffing than anything else as a rule. And some of it is really important, and some of it I think we need to look at. So as a state, our district is pretty good, but like everyone else, we have to be very careful and look at our trends.
Well, I mean, it's just interesting data, right? Because if we're first on those metrics, but we're 5th on reading, well, that's good. It means there's a correlation there. But then it looks like for 8th grade and after 21st,
We're like average.
But what did stick out to me was the academic proficiency is measured with a different benchmark.
Yeah, the NAEP is the National Assessment of Educational Progress. It's given everywhere in the country. We don't get it every year. Sometimes, doesn't it feel like we get it every year?
It feels like it.
It's every other year. They only assess 4th and 8th grade. And every year we just want to thank our 4th and 8th grade kids because it's a lot of testing for them. But we never get results for our school on this assessment. But I thought it was important as we were giving feedback to the Agency of Education because they're looking at data. Some of the data was correct data, some of the data was incorrect. And so we were helping them through some of that. If they're going to be judging Vermont on how well kids do using the NAEP, and they're talking about the trend of the National Assessment of Educational Progress dipping over time, I think it's important to point out that that assessment no longer measures the standards that are taught in schools. Because Common Core came in and the NAEP pre-existed that. They haven't changed it since 2007. So schools across America are using Common Core standards in their instruction, and that assessment isn't measuring that. So, yes, students struggle, but also it's not necessarily what kids are being taught in Tennessee or Texas or Vermont.
Right.
Some of it's the same, but
It's a lot of sense.
and then I did add David Zuckerman's letter, which took too many pages. I had no idea it was going to be that many pages.
A lot of pages.
But I thought, in response to Governor Scott's letter about the increased costs of education, I thought David made a very good point of the increase, that we really have a funding problem and the way we pay for things problem, and property tax being a really aggressive way of funding education, and that if you really examine the spending, if you adjust for inflation, things have been pretty flat. So I think that's an important point to make.
The funding is, we'll see what the legislature comes up with this year in terms of funding.
We'll see.
All right, the other one was for it was an art program. There was a line in there that by spring 2029, 70% of grade 3 students will be reading proficiency at grade 3.
That's our goal. Kosha?
Yes, that's in our new continuous improvement plan, and it's our goal for over the next 5 years. We want to get to that level at least.
Okay. I just want to make sure if that's our goal. It's a good goal. And then the last thing, it's me. All right, so for the business report, there was a line in here that I just thought I wanted to put in the minutes. It said, so we had the audit and the feedback was well-oiled machine.
Office runs like a well-oiled machine.
How often is that the feedback given to businesses?
She said we are a model business office, and if all operators like us, then her job would be a lot easier. It was great feedback. We had a new audit manager this year. She was great to work with, but she was very complimentary. We worked hard to make sure the audit went well. So
I thought that was an interesting line, and I think just give praise to your staff and everything you guys are doing, because to come out of this year and have an audit, and that's all that comes out of it. That's something to talk about.
I think you had no recommendations this year.
there's one verbal recommendation that it was that we need to do POs in central office prior to ordering our little office supplies. Like if we run out of staples, we need to do a PO first, and then we were just not. It was just the thing that wasn't happening. That was the only thing that they mentioned out of a $50 million audit. So we were happy. Yes.
And then the last thing I had was in after school. It talked about if you could, Diana could just talk a little bit about. So, because it kind of went into like the arc. So, how much of the literacy is a part of the after school, and how that going? And then I commented on all the different revenue sources for after school for, in times where we're having less and less budget to have all these different revenue sources. So just maybe talk about that a little bit.
About funding?
No, for the, so how are the literacy programs after school going?
So it's a relevant question. Coach and I were just meeting today. And we're looking into some additional Title I funding and whatnot to really make all of the programs in the after-school program as intentional as possible and as much of a corresponding and complementary program to school day. So I'm really excited to continue that work with COSHA closely and looking into some various PD for our after-school staff to make sure that they're up to date. And we're going to be talking with school day teachers to determine what's maybe something you can't fit into the school day that we have room to do in the after-school program. So that's also kind of in its infancy as far as the more intentional literacy programming. Our historic literacy programming is, it's fantastic. It's really just reinforcing some of those basic skills as far as we have a lot of reading, we have a lot of book clubs, we have all kinds of stuff like that that just reinforces those skills. But again, I'm just super psyched to work closely with COSHA for the next, forever. But, this year I think we're going to really start to get some very intentional programming in the mix.
And the funding here, are some of these grants currently in the works, or are these just all the awarded grants?
I am ill prepared. I think that's listing all of the different channels that we report to. Is that, can you give me an example of a couple?
No, it was just all which require routine audits, rigorous reporting, and then it has 21 Century Learning Grants, statewide after-school grant, youth project, all that.
Those are all of our current funding sources. So that was really just to emphasize the administrative work that my coordinators are responsible for, in addition to working on the ground with students. Every single funding source has its own set of really fun rules, and we have to meet every single one of those standards, and it involves a lot of site visits, a lot of audits. I actually just met today about an amendment for our state after-school grants. So that was really just sort of enforcing the fact that my coordinators are fantastic, and they have so many funding sources that they have to be accountable to, and what can I do as the director to make that easier and more streamlined for them. So I'm working with some folks at Vermont After School to figure out a way we can't get rid of the fact that we need all of these funding sources, but we can try to find ways to make the reporting more streamlined and maybe take some of the weight off my coordinators as far as, it's weekly reports, weekly data. I often have to give them a call last minute because the state director wants something all of a sudden. So that was really just to reinforce the fact that we're working on streamlining administrative tasks for them so they can be more on the ground with their staff.
Thank you.
I don't know who puts together the upcoming events. After Dan getting credit for Molly's work, I'm very careful with my thank yous, but I really appreciate that. That's wonderful. We look at the events over a period of a month to 6 weeks.
I took a page from my playbook.
Anybody else? Questions or comments?
I just want to go back to the letter that we referred to, and one of the things that was said in the letter, which I recall there's been a shift over time where the Agency of Human Services used to fund the mental health professionals and the mental health issues with students and so on, and well, they just think it's a great idea that the schools should do it, but then the funding didn't follow. So basically, we have not many more expenses in the schools. Agency of Human Services, has reduced the amount of responsibilities they have in that issue, and the schools are taking it on. So the schools keep taking on more and more responsibilities, and then the school boards and property taxes, and we all get blamed that why these property taxes keep going up. And it's, and I just really think that was great that he pointed that out, because we certainly have noticed over the years that this constant push to keep having schools address more and more things, and we've done it. The schools have done it, and they've done it well, but they need to fund the schools more, otherwise the property taxes keep going up, and that's what kind of gets upsetting, is that we get blamed for the increases in property taxes when a lot of it is not the school district's fault.
it's definitely one of the areas that we keep pushing back and giving feedback to that mission as well. You know, we want a full accounting of, you know, wonderful things that are paid for out of the ed fund that have absolutely nothing to do with K-12 public education. Even water improvement TIF districts in the southern part of the state are paid for out of the ed fund, because there's been a shift from the general fund to the ed fund in anything they think they can connect to education. And yeah, I was surprised by that myself. But it's, again, that comes right off the top.
education?
There's a school there.
Oh, there's a school there?
Somewhere.
Okay.
So, but, you know, those are, whether it's human services, universal lunches, which I'm completely in support of, but, you know, not coming out of the ed fund, in my opinion. But those kinds of things are really important, but not necessarily coming from local property taxes.
It's going to be very interesting in the Vermont Senate when they go back in January, because two people who had pretty much controlled that for the last decade, the chair and the vice chair, one died and the other went for re-election.
Yeah.
And so it's an opportunity for VSBA and the superintendents and business managers and people involved, and us, to make our voices known after the election. Because if you get 2 or 3 people out of 30 who can control the money, and that's happened, it depends how they feel about education. And if your grandmother was a teacher and loved it, it might be good. But if your sister was a teacher and you didn't like your sister, believe it or not, it plays into politics.
So now we're gonna move to the communication, communications. Oh, yes.
Thank you to our
Thank you.
administrators. Thank you, Bethany.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Have a good night, Wendy. Night, Kusha.
How did that come out? No. Lauren, I'm doing that. So I'm sharing up here, I don't know if, I'll try and make it bigger. Rennick and Jen and I think, honestly can't remember whether it was just our conversation or whether it was a conversation at the board level, that we wanted to survey the community. We always do in November, and I will bring that survey to you before we send that out. But we wanted to survey folks about how they get information specifically. And so I did draft this, I wanted to share with you. I have a survey ready and drafted, I can send out this week. Basically looking at, you know, what information sources do folks use to get information, and then how satisfied they are with that, and then what kind of information are people looking for, and the impact, and then more about communication preferences. So I'll go through it a little bit. It is in your drive and it's linked in the agenda. But essentially, and I'm trying to make it so that people can choose more than one in some of these, which is a little messier when we look at the data, but I think it's important that we capture more than just, you know, the one choice somebody makes. So we've got school or district websites, we've got newspapers, we've got social media. We broke that down into the school district Facebook page, or my, you know, Franklin Facebook, well, Franklin doesn't have a Facebook page, bad example. But another school might have a Facebook page, they get information, or a community Facebook page. School newsletters, those budget flyers that direct mail home, parent-teacher information that goes out from the PTOs, school board meetings. And I did put in other, which we know we will get all kinds of random responses, but, we might see something we didn't think of.
Where is public access TV?
Oh, I don't have that in there.
Because I want to tell you that many of the people who contact me, and if I keep a low profile and don't go downtown, I won't. But they refer to public access TV. They don't call it that.
Just put that on the list.
Can you clarify the community Facebook page? Are you referring to the town individual pages or these community forums where you have some of the keyboard warriors?
Yes.
That's two different entities. I'm wondering if we should clarify that.
To list them out? Or-
Well, no, like when you say community Facebook page, like Town of Highgate, like Wendy's very good about posting things. Are you looking at the town Facebook page or are you looking at the Swanton Community Forum, which is not the town of Swanton, it's the people of Swanton?
So break it out into town community page and then other, then I would say other.
I would say other can
Instead
cover.
of breaking it
Yeah,
into a bunch, just say
right.
other. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just so it's clear what you're saying for community.
Because I do get a lot, I always go to Wendy's on her. I like it,
Yeah. Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, she is very good. And what about emails, like when the school sends emails out?
Yes,
Or would that-
I have that sort of later as a question. Where did it go? What communication, yes. What communication channels would you prefer? So I don't
Okay,
have it,
yeah.
I don't have it in both places. So I will put school newsletters, school direct email to families, but this is going out to more than families, obviously, but.
Yeah.
Okay. And then just how satisfied are you with that on a scale? And I expect people to remote, sometimes you never know, right? So, but it'll be good to see if some people are feeling like they're getting a lot of information, because I know we're giving a lot of information, but it's important for us to hear that. What kind of information you want, more detailed breakdown of the school district budget, such as salary and benefits, contracts and purchase services, instructional materials, facilities and maintenance, transportation, special ed. I put in other, I think we'll get a lot of, whatever people are interested in, but I think that will help us. And the impact, would you like to understand how the school budget impacts achievement, class size, program offerings, facilities, how tax rates are calculated in a statewide system? I didn't put in other there, you can if you like. They get hard to read, that's the problem with lots of others. But just really try to think of those big impact areas and the relationship between what we fund in the budget and how our schools operate. And again here, what would you prefer? How do you prefer to receive information? And for this one, I think I'm gonna have, you can check multiples obviously. So that's where I have email, text, social media, school news. This is broader. This doesn't have, 3 different kinds of Facebook pages broken out there, but generally, how do you like to consume information? And then frequency. You want to hear from us once a year, read the annual book. You want it weekly during budget season? Do you want monthly, quarterly? What are you looking for? How to turn the fans off. So they're either on or off.
Thank you, it's cold.
Sorry, it's freezing. So I
don't usually.
I want to send this out this week. Please, I think already people have given me a couple of things to throw in there and add. Hopefully this will be helpful to everyone.
Is weekly realistic?
Well, during budget season, we do put something out every week. We put something, we either put out a video, we put something on our website.
Should we define our budget season? Because we started in November. I don't know.
This had said as needed before, and I thought that was too vague.
I just want to be realistic for you people to work with. If you can do it, that's great. I didn't realize we were doing it.
Pretty much. During January, February in particular.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I swear.
Sorry, I'm like shivering.
I'm never cold and I had to put my coat on because I was freezing.
So does that look okay to folks? All right.
So we're taking out weekly?
I put in as needed during budget season.
Every day.
Well, every day I'm
Makes
sure you
people
could
mad.
find something. Thank you for that. I just wanted to make sure that I was able to run that past you, see that it was getting at what you wanted. There.
Thank you, Julie. Great. Next agenda item is the VSBIT VHI proxy, which needs action.
Yes, this can just be one broad, and I do have the papers for signature, but every year we have at the Vermont Schoolboard Association and Superintendent's meeting at the end of October, there is a VHI, Vermont Education Health Initiative, and VSBIT, Vermont School Board Insurance Trust annual meetings. And I represent you there, and I, would like to have a motion stating that you will represent me, and then I have to have Jen sign the papers saying, and there's nothing, they're electing officers and approving minutes, so there's nothing particularly interesting. Each meeting lasts about 15 minutes. But it's nice to have me there.
So I would move that Superintendent Reggie Ball represents the MVSD at this meeting. Is it going to be online this year?
That meeting's not usually online, no.
I know the business meeting, the SBA business meeting this year is on. Okay, so anyway, that's a motion.
Thanks.
Thank you, Don. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Stephanie. Questions, comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 8-0.
And Julie, do we need to get on the next board meeting for the VSBA business meeting? Who can vote on the resolutions?
Isn't that in the spring?
No, it's in October.
Oh, who's attending that annual business meeting?
I've done it for the last few years, but I'd gladly give it up if somebody else wants to do it. Because when I do resolutions, you have one vote per school supervisory union or district, like we have MVSD, we have one vote.
Will we have time? When is it October 22nd, our next board meeting?
Yes.
I'm not sure.
Yes.
Yes.
Because they've separated it from the conference.
And then the annual business meeting is that Rennick, you're attending, or is the annual business meeting on the 24th or the 25th?
Vacancy 24. For VSBA, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So Sean, is that enough time to authorize somebody 2 days before the meeting, or is it?
I think so.
Okay, yeah, we can make sure, unless somebody wants to add it to this agenda.
Rennick usually does it.
It's all you now.
We're just appointing.
I read them last time, I was the only one here.
Here's my title.
Yes. There's 3 of them.
Yep.
All right, thank you very much. All right, all business office.
Next action item is warrants.
Let's see.
I only need to read the September ones though, right? I did the August ones last time. Wait, you gave me 2.
Sorry, I just need you to sign the other
Oh,
one.
my-
Yeah,
okay.
Because it wasn't.
I read that one already. Okay, accounts payable, $1,378,376.90. Payroll checks, $38,854.73. Payroll other disbursements, $1,769,161.18. Payroll deductions, $748,037.79, for a total of $3,934,430.60.
Thank you, Elaine. Any questions or comments on? Would somebody like to make a motion to accept?
I will.
Thank you, Pierrette. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Stephanie, thank you. Great. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries 8-0.
Jen, may we just go back a minute?
Absolutely.
Julie, I just pulled up the VSBA because I thought it was different. It's going to be on Zoom on October 17th at 6 o'clock.
Oh,
That's what it says here. I didn't remember when they were doing it, but I remember they separated the business meeting from the conference.
so I was unaware of that, Don, I apologize.
Well, I was.
Do you need
I
to
wasn't-
add it to this agenda if the board is agreeable to do that?
I think we have to because we're not gonna meet before the 17th. I don't know why they did it, except I guess the business meeting isn't always well attended, so maybe just doing it on Zoom was a way to get people to it.
So do people feel comfortable adding that agenda, making that motion?
So Dawn has always done this in the past,
I've done it for a number of years, yeah.
so, normally.
And I feel comfortable anybody else doing it. I mean, I don't have to do it.
No, and to me, it's something we've done every year. I would certainly don't like to put things on the agenda for action that weren't on here. But the meeting is, what, another week or so away?
Next.
So it gives people time, if they see this, if they have any issues with it, they can bring it to our attention, so. If it was something totally new, I'd be a little more concerned.
Elaborate on it, so it's the representative with the.
Let's add it, make that number 10.
I don't,
So what is the position again, John?
what's that?
What does it entail again?
It's mainly voting on the resolutions that are being brought forward by local school districts and.
Yes. Because you did that when I was there
Yes,
last year, you were
Yeah,
voting on this.
that's right, yeah.
So they're not doing it at the conferences?
No, they're not, apparently. I
Ah.
apologize, I didn't know that.
Got it, okay, I understand.
You have new people in the superintendent's association.
So it's
They're
the
shaking.
VASBO voting delegate? Is that essentially what we're doing?
VSBA.
Yes,
Not
yeah.
VASBO.
Not VASBO, I don't know why I wrote
Maybe I
that.
missed something.
October 17th.
Doesn't sound.
For the VSBA and on
Carrie Lamb usually calls around to the schools and says, do you have somebody that's been approved?
You see what time that's at on 17th?
What time? 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock.
Yep. If you
And
wanna do
only
it-
via Zoom.
If you want me to do it, Don, I will. If you want to keep doing it, go for it.
Go for it. I'll be on, but go for it. It'll be a good experience.
All right.
So we'll vote on that after the snowplow bids?
Yes,
Okay.
that'll be item number 10.
And anybody can be online. Any board member can be online. Doing that. Just can't vote.
All right, thank you, Don. Next, we're gonna do the financial report.
Sure, so, I did include a kind of a report summary in the drive as well. Do you want me to go through those, or did people review them? Overall, we're in, excellent financial position at this point in the year. There's a lot of year left, of the year left, but happy to do it if you want.
Better not be in trouble on October. Better not be in trouble in October.
I know.
Is everybody satisfied with it?
Looks good.
We did spend all of our ESSER money. I think I put that in my report also, that I'll report out on that, but that was a big monumental thing that happened in our office, so. A lot of reporting left to do on it, but every cent was spent on something valuable for our school districts.
Good. Thank you, Laura. Right, so then next we're gonna have our snowplow.
Yes. If you can see this.
Can you zoom in a little bit?
Any better?
Yes.
Okay, so we had our bid opening last week. Myself and Jason were in attendance, as well as Dawn. We received at least 3 different bidders. And we have, the facility task force has now made this recommendation to award to the items, the vendors in red. So for MVU, they would be looking to award to Dick's Construction. In Highgate, we would look to award to Dairy's Lawn Care, that's Sydney Dairy. In Central Office, Dick's Construction. And then a different dairy construction for Franklin, that's actually Todd Dairy. And then in Swanton, Dick's Construction. Those are all the same vendors that we currently have that would yet again be awarded. Cumulatively, the cost of snow plowing would be going up almost 38%. A lot of that is due to the structure of the RFP for MVU specifically. For years, MVU's RFP was separated into salt and sand in one, kind of as its own separate line item, and it was as needed. And the plowing was a flat amount. We chose this year because of the confusion last year with the RFPs and the uncertainty of that, and to make sure that all of our bids came in comparable and that we could compare them and award appropriately. We chose to just have a flat amount per school, including everything, salt, sand, and so because of that, obviously the bidders have to anticipate a certain level of weather, even though last year was very mild. Combine that with inflation and gas prices and everything else. So currently we're paying about, for the budget, so 37% is over the actual expenses. What we budgeted was $63,910, so we'd be about $26,000 over what we budgeted for this year for snow plowing.
When was the last time we bid for this?
3 years ago.
So 38% increase, 3 years.
But most of it is salt.
Yeah.
If you didn't do the NVs, use salt this way, it was pretty much not even inflation, I don't think.
But the last contracts were the same way, right? They put in increases for each year. It's not
Each
like
year, yeah.
It's not like it was the same over the 3 years.
No, yeah, they always have a slight increase or primarily.
So, did you had the days where pre the bid where they could come in and ask questions, right, at each facility? Did all of these show up, and did anybody show up that didn't bid, or?
We had people not show up that then asked to bid, and we did not allow that because of the confusion we've had in the past when people do not attend, and we did communicate that the walkthrough was mandatory this year.
Okay.
It's just, there's so many details and nuances, you know, it's really important. So no, all of these people did attend.
I did communicate with Jason, and he was happy with the service that they've been provided, so it's the same bidders. I didn't with Steve, but there was only one bid.
Steve had one bid, right?
Yeah.
But he's been happy with it, so.
Okay.
It's tough to get into something like that unless you have equipment and dependable drivers. You know, it's not quite at the same level as school buses, but it's an investment and it's 3 years. But you better be committed to it.
And even at MVU, Dick's Construction historically has been much lower than the other bidders that were bidding on MVU and Swanton. So I think, you know, we're much more in line now with where other vendors were.
Were the bidders at the opening?
No, just us.
No one. I think someone's online tonight, though.
I think they're both from Dick's Construction.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, would somebody like to make the motion to accept the facilities recommendations for the snowplow bids for MVU?
Go ahead, Don.
No, I'll make that motion if Peter will second it. If he's not gonna second it, I'm not making it.
I'll second.
Oh. All right, so Don's first, Peter's second. Any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion carries 8-0.
Thanks for attending that, Don.
Oh, it was good. I really expected to see bidders there. I was surprised that no one. That's all right, that was their choice. But I think, going back to something you asked, I think it's critical, if you're gonna bid that type of thing, you be there on the day and everybody gets the same information. And people that don't do that, to me, I get a little skeptical of what's the service gonna be like if you can't be at a bid meeting. And Laura and Jason were flexible and changed it, I think, one walkthrough for someone.
We did because he requested it and let us know that there was a certain issue, and it was before the walkthrough happened.
Yeah.
It was very much ahead of time. Excellent. Jen, if we can circle back to the financial report piece, I just wanted to briefly show OpenGov, our new software, if that's okay?
Yes.
Okay, please, and it will only take a few seconds. And honestly, today was a rough day because we worked on this for a year. And of course, all weekend, Lisa and I were working on it also to just like make some fine tuning and double check and make sure our numbers were all represented correctly. And then it integrated last night and we lost some data. So they're fixing it, but so it was a long day, but I'll be brief. So I don't know how well you can see this, but this is how you're basically used to seeing data from us. It looks more like an Excel spreadsheet. This is all the data that we've put into OpenGov, and some of it does integrate. The actuals from the current year will integrate from our new system every night when it works. But now this data is being turned into all kinds of interactive charts and graphs. So we do have the same data below. We can break it down by certain things, like you hear me say function and object and fund, expenses and revenue. So we can still do that down below. But up above, we can very easily drill down and share information, and then all of this information can transfer very easily into online budget book. So we could have an electronic version of a budget book or any kind of report really that we want to build. And I think it's going to be a great tool to use to communicate the budget and the expenditures to the community, and also to you, the board, and also to building principals and administration. So basically these charts and graphs, like here we're looking at the fiscal year 23 to fiscal year 25 budgets. You can see, sorry, I've got stuff on my screen. You can see over here, it's broken down by object, so professional services and benefits and other services, supplies. But then they're all interactive, as I said, so when you hover over them, you can see, well, I can see what makes it up. So I know that's professional salaries, and I can see it's $24 million out of our budget is from that line item. Also, I can separate this and compare very quickly by location. So we can quickly go, okay, this is MVU, this is Swanton, this is Highgate, and we can look at 3 years of data very easily. We can even drill down into one of those schools. So say the board, wants me to look at MVU. What's it look like? What's their budget breakdown for 1 year? Whoops, maybe I'm not right. Sorry. And we can do that and drill down into them very easily. So that's also great, but just the functionality is absolutely huge. And the immediacy of everything that we look at. I'm just trying to get back to the main page.
So for you, what is this software going to allow? Just for like an easier way to read the numbers, collect data, build stuff, sort of understand?
It's just ease of preparation of data to communicate to people, basically, is what it is. So we already have a financial management and HR management software, and this working with that system, but then it allows it, so I'm not manually taking 80 pages of Excel spreadsheet and trying to create a chart and a graph or something for negotiations. That's basically all manual. And so there's a lot of margin for error in a system like that too. So this will take some of that margin for error away, but also just I can answer questions in negotiations faster. We can prepare for the budget in a more automated fashion.
So do the Excel spreadsheets feed this system?
Basically all that data that I showed you in the beginning. So we've been building this for a year and inputting data, historical data since fiscal year 20. And now the integrated data will update automatically, but we had to put all the historical in. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not that you can just take what you have and just feed it in. You had to get
it originally, yes. Yeah. I can't even tell you how hard. Lisa Way, I need to make sure that her name is mentioned. She has put in countless hours. She loves this kind of work, but there's been some rough patches along the way, like there is with any software. So
this will eventually replace the old system you have?
It won't replace it, we'll need both.
So you still need both? Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you're giving yourself more work, but it's a better tool.
It will not be more work soon. We're just not quite there yet. This is still a work in progress, but we're pretty proud of what we've done so far. The other thing, well, I guess what I was just gonna say is, if also some of it, I think oftentimes we get asked questions, about different funds, so very easily I can isolate something like special ed costs, for instance. And we can drill down to special ed costs, and if I wanna look at just Franklin special ed costs, I can break immediately, tell you how much Franklin special ed costs are. So, it's a powerful tool. Also our capital improvement plan, so our 10-year plan, or 5 years plus future planning, right now is in Excel spreadsheets. I built a book, basically. This allows us to also keep that information in here, so we can quickly look at what we anticipate to spend year after year. Obviously, this is projections right now. I haven't met with the facility task force about what's coming up in the next budgets, but it is using all of the budgets that we've been discussing, all of the projects that we've been discussing, so you can see this giant list of, these are all the capital projects that the facility task force discusses. But it will allow me to manage those with a little bit more ease, and also communicate. And then again, all of this information can be dumped into a budget book, basically just with an import. And then we can make it even prettier after that. So, and again, all interactive, and eventually we could put a link on our website, or we could make it available to administration where I can build a dashboard with this information very easily and say, okay, Dan Palmer, here's your dashboard with the things that are important to you. So if you really want to keep an eye on your office line or your special ed line or whatever, then I can give them that. They'll also have access to all of their workforce plans. So for negotiations, whoops, I don't think I opened that tab, but for negotiations, basically every single position and every single salary and benefit is also in here, so I can very easily calculate FTEs, and I can very easily adjust a salary schedule with one click. I can add 5%, I can change steps, we can do the same thing with benefits, so definitely will help when we're negotiating to run all those scenarios. When you want me to come with 8 scenarios to the table, I'll be able to do that, and I'll probably be able to do it with more ease in a meeting also. So I think it will help with negotiations also. And then I just wanted to show that these are sort of what the online budget books will begin to look like. Don't pay attention to these numbers because this is part of the glitch today, but you'll see it'll create an online budget book that'll be kind of interactive for people when they want to click on things, and they can drill down themselves to the level that we want to give them access to at that point, or what's appropriate at the time. Similarly, we can create pages by school if that's something that we want to do. We can include, obviously, their operating budgets and different year comparisons very easily. FTE counts, because the entire workforce plan is in here, so we can include all of that very easily too. And again, it's built already, so it'll be ready and prepared. So just wanted to show that off a little bit. It's been a lot of work for us, and I think it'll be a valuable tool for the board too. So,
Laura, can you make a note at our finance committee meeting to kind of go over that a little bit more in depth?
Thank you, Laura.
We'll see a lot more.
All right, next agenda item is the VSBA voting delegate for the October 17th annual meeting. And you two decide who's going.
I would move that Rabbit represent us at that meeting, if he has the time to do it, 6 o'clock. It's not a very long meeting, usually an hour.
I'm sure it'll be loads of fun, but yeah, sure it's a good experience.
And thank you, Don. Do you have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Peter.
You know, I got to do it because I was vice chair of the board, so it should go in there.
No, good. I remember when you were there last year. It's good to understand what they're voting on, what's coming down the line, so.
Alright, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries 8-0. Next agenda item is negotiations update.
So I think we will look for a finding both on this and the next agenda item, the administrative reviews, to discuss those at executive session, so that one or more parties would be at a substantial disadvantage with premature public knowledge.
Okay, perfect.
We've already done 12, right, Julie? Or not?
No, we haven't done 12. We're not going in. I'm just saying that those two
Will be
items are
in
appropriate for executive
session. And for the negotiations update, probably invite both Laura and Bonnie, and then after that they can leave.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Perfect. So, do we want to do the community engagement opportunities first or go into executive session?
Let's do that. We'll do it first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, community engagement opportunities.
I know there's a Halloween in the park in Swanton, I think on the 26th?
Yeah, I think so. I think I know I'm in
Yep,
it.
the 26th, I believe it is. I was
Yes.
probably gonna attend because someone's asked me to do that witch dance, but I don't really want to do it. But
Love it.
I donated some costumes for it, but work.
So you want to go there and represent
I'll probably be
us
there.
instead?
Yeah.
With your.
I'll go and just check it out.
Check you
You want,
Hmm.
if you need any swag, we'll let
Okay.
us know.
All right.
There's usually someone.
I should just
in
get a
central office.
wagon and just walk around with it. I think that would be cute.
Swag wag.
Yeah. I could bring the dog too. I think the dog would be cute. I think he should have been in here too.
And anything else? Trunk or treats in Highgate at the arena on the 31st.
And their open house is Wednesday.
What, this Wednesday?
This Wednesday, tomorrow,
What time?
6 to 7.
I might be able to make that.
And you have a list of upcoming events at MVU at the bottom. Craft show on the 26th.
I'll be there.
Concerts.
Choral concert on the 23rd.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be at the concerts.
Skip night.
I'm helping out with skit night actually. I'm helping the sophomore class, but nice. So it'll be fun.
Excellent. And then did Franklin have isn't Franklin having a trunk or treat?
Yeah, they're having something, I don't know if it's October 27th, I'm not sure, but I know there's one night they're having, the same night that they're having the, like a haunted forest or haunted
The haunted
something.
It's
that-
usually on a Friday night, isn't it?
Yeah, they're having that, and I've already been asked to participate in that haunted thing, as we like to scare kids.
Hey.
So, I'm not even gonna dress up.
Okay. All right, perfect.
So I will be going to that. Forget which day it is.
So that was 6 to 7 in the open house. Right, so then next we're gonna do the executive session for items 10 and 11.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I'll make the
motion, thank you, Brennick, and who would like to second it to go into executive session?
I'll second.
Bonnie and Laura, right?
We're inviting Bonnie and Laura and Julian for item number 10,
Yeah,
but for 11,
negotiations.
yeah, for item,
next one they can leave.